Hello everyone, I'm Bill Brenner from Cyber Risk Alliance and Security Weekly. We are back, continuing our live coverage of InfoSec World. And I'm here with Ward Cobbley, Product Line Manager at Viavi. If you want to know more about Viavi, by the way, go check out securityweekly.com/Viavi and learn more about them. Welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
So I want to start by giving people a picture of who Viavi is and what we do, because everything I ask you from there will give people that broader context. So,
I like it.
So talk about the company.
Sure. Well, this is a big year for us. 2023, we're actually celebrating a 100-year milestone. Viavi started off in 1923 with Wandel and Golterman. So 100 years of delivering intuitive instruments, intelligence, and insights. That's my alliteration for the day. I'm very pleased that I've remembered it. But when I describe Viavi, I often think about delivering solutions from the ground up. So fiber certification, delivering instrumentation that helps me manage my data center, the devices in my data center, the services that are hosted in my data center. If we move a little bit higher up, terra firma still, we've got 3D sensors for consumer electronics, spatial sensors for cars. As I move up, I've got 5G and 6G networks, and if we want to go up next, there's visibility into the cloud, and we even have technology that has made space missions successful. So it's kind of a fun way to look at it from an altitude perspective, but it's a big year for us, and we're happy to have reached this milestone, so thanks for asking.
And you have a talk coming up.
I do?
Do you?
No, I don't.
So talk about, I've talked to so many people, most of the people that I've interviewed so far, they want to talk about a talk they're
I'd be
giving.
happy if you can find me a room in an audience. Hook me up.
Well, at least next year. Just talk about, and then I have some more specific questions,
okay.
But talk about, for Viavi, as you're walking around InfoSec World, and you're thinking about the things that matter to Viavi customers.
Yeah.
What is that for you?
So today in this setting, we're going to be very focused on things obviously related to security and threat, right? Because for this audience, that's what 99% of them care about. Some of them may have overlapping responsibilities that go into other adjacent areas, but here we want to kind of help them understand how we can help in the areas of threat forensics, for instance, how we can take a high-fidelity set of data and allow them to use that to their advantage when it comes to identifying suspicious traffic, when it comes to understanding a breach in progress, when it comes to reducing dwell time, when it comes to documenting the effects of a breach. And we also want to talk to them a bit about exposure management, which is kind of a new area for us. We've been spending a lot of focus on this show, talking about the importance of threat exposure management.
Very good. And so we just talked about your milestone. Let's move on there though, and just for transparency with the audience, I'm using my iPad here because that's where I scribble my notes. And so if you see me looking down, that's why. So Viavi is seeing a re-emergence in the demand for packet and flow data in the cloud.
Right.
So based on your experience, why would you say that is?
I think I would point to three things. I would look at performance, proof, and security. And if I could, I'll talk for just a moment about each of those three. And it hasn't changed, thank you. It hasn't changed since the early days. You know, what's old is new again, whatever cliche you like, nothing new under the sun. We've always needed visibility into performance, and packets were always a wonderful way of getting there. They help me understand how a network infrastructure is behaving. They help me understand how services are being delivered. They are a great source of proof when there are problems. If I know this is a vendor problem, they let me hold the vendor's feet to the fire. You know, the expression we've heard, packets or it didn't happen. If I can show the vendor the packets, then they know they have to own that problem. And then when it comes to security, as I've mentioned, packets can serve an awful lot of purposes, both proactive use as well as kind of after the fact, documenting the damage. All those things were true before the cloud. All those things are true in the cloud. The challenge is accessing that information is different. You get that information differently in a data center than you do in a completely virtualized environment or in a public cloud setting. And then there's kind of the cousin of packets, which is Flow. Flow's been around since the late 90s. It's a great technology for understanding conversations, patterns of traffic, who's communicating to whom. And again, that is essential visibility to have in these fluid, dynamic cloud environments when you need to understand who is talking to whom and whether or not that should be happening. So these data sources have served us well for decades, and they continue to be essential in the cloud. Some people are just learning this because they're starting their IT careers in the cloud, and they're starting with vendor-provided tools and discovering they have some gaps and limitations sometimes. So let's go back to our old friends that always tell the truth and always give us the answers.
Yep. Now, you made an announcement last week, and it was related to threat exposure management. So talk about the announcement and the story behind it.
Sure. So the announcement was a new product for us called Observer Sentry. The Observer product line has been around for a lot of years now, but it has been more focused on the performance management side of things. Observer Sentry puts us squarely in threat exposure management. And what got us here is our business unit within the Vyavi universe is called Network Performance and Threat Solutions. We've got a lot of experience with performance, but those same data sources we just talked about, primarily packets and flow, can really be put to good use in terms of threat and security. But the thing we were kind of looking for is to take advantage of an emerging need, which is to understand exposures. One of the leading industry analysts has asserted that we need to evolve beyond our traditional methods of threat detection, investigation, and response, and we need to move more towards exposure management. And sort of the three facets that they point to is visibility, accessibility, and vulnerability. So first, I need visibility into these cloud environments to understand what resources are out there, how these things communicate with one another. Accessibility helps me understand the paths through those environments and into those environments from the outside. And then vulnerability helps me understand where I've got critical issues that I need to address. So when we look at exposure management, I like a description I read, which is it combines the attacker view with the defender view. So if I can bring those two things together and understand them well, that's going to help me secure that network from those people that want to get in. And so what we've got now is a new platform that allows us to connect to AWS resources, leverage openly available APIs to get security group information, access control lists, firewall rules, gateway information, traffic gateway information, pull that all together into a graph model so I can understand not just the inventory of assets that I have in that environment, but how they communicate, and also the paths through that environment. Now I've got that internal perspective. We marry that with external attack surface management, which now gives me kind of that attacker perspective. What are the ways that someone from the outside could get into and through this environment? And then that last piece, vulnerability, says, if I've got an exposed resource, I've got something in that cloud environment, there's a path from the internet, and it's got a known vulnerability, that's a toxic combination. I need to prioritize that highly, because someone can get to that device and it's got a vulnerability, I got to bump that to the top of the list. And so we've provided a solution that gives us all of that.
Now for those who want to come and talk to you about the solution, where's the best place to find you this week at InfoSec World?
This week, booth 923, right around the corner from where we're sitting right now. Beyond that, our website is a great place to go. We've just started publishing content. The press releases went out last week. So viavisolutions.com/PTV, and you'll see Observer Sentry kind of front and center there because it's our newest thing. It's going to get top billing for a while.
Fantastic. So that'll wrap this segment. But Ward, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure, Bill. Thank you.
Great to talk to you and catch up. And again, folks, if you want to learn more about Vyavi, please visit securityweekly.com/Vyavi ISW as in InfoSec world. Thank you. We will be back.